Good afternoon, class. Today is Friday, May 1st, 2020. We're going to be on pages 414 to 419 today. Political changes around the world. I apologize about yesterday about not reading everything in the section, but terrorism is something that you need to read personally and be acquainted with because it's something that's going to be affecting the world throughout your lives also. But this is a section about political change, and I'm going to try my best to read through as much of this as I can. It's a lot of pages, but we'll see what I can do. The growing global nuclear scare. Nuclear power has been one of the major international concerns since the United States first used the atomic bomb on Japan in 1945 and the seemingly imminent nuclear exchanges of the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. By the turn of the millennium, several countries were part of the nuclear club, or nations that were capable or having nuclear weapons. In 1970, the major powers with nuclear weapon capability signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Since the signing of the NPT, the possession of nuclear power in the hands of unstable regimes such as North Korea, Iran, and Pakistan has led to greater international tension and concern about a nuclear confrontation. As terrorism grew, so did the nuclear scare. North Korea's communist dictator Kim Jong-il led the country's military and nuclear buildup. On May 1st, 2005, the North Koreans test-fired a missile into the Sea of Japan. In October of the following year, directly defying the warnings of other countries, they exploded a small nuclear device. Kim Jong-il, who had been in power since 1994, died on December 7, 2011. He was succeeded by his son, Kim Jong-un. Some critics suspect that North Korea has continued to build nuclear weapons. So let's look at Iran. With help from Russia, Iranian President Mohammad Ahmadinejad led a program for building nuclear technology. Holding extreme animosity towards Israel, Ahmadinejad believed it should be completely wiped off the map. His words. Iran announced that they would not freeze their nuclear program in acquiescence to the wishes of the Western countries. In March of 2008, Ahmadinejad commented that Tehran is ready to make available to Jakarta, Indonesia, its achievements and its valuable experience in a variety of fields, including nuclear engineering, nanotech, and economics. Cooperation between Iran and Indonesia benefits both the Islamic world and mankind as a whole, according to Ahmadinejad. Now let's look at Pakistan. The assassination of the former pro-democratic Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto in 2007 increased government instability in Pakistan. Surrounded by Iran, Afghanistan, China, and India, Pakistan is in a key location in the international war on terror. Because this Islamic nation has declared a nuclear weapons program and houses a dangerous number of Islamic extremists, the United States continues to maintain an allied relationship with Pakistan President Mahmoud Hussein. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Israel's stunning 1967 victory against legions of Arab nations miraculously gave them back much of the land that God had promised them in the Old Testament. However, under continued terrorist attacks and pressure from Western leaders' opinions, Israel entered into a long period of appeasement in the 1970s. During this time, Israel began to sacrifice some of the land it had won in order to keep a forced peace with its Arab-Palestinian neighbors. The Oslo Accords in September of 1993 was the first time that a face-to-face agreement had been made between the Israelis and Palestinians. It was followed by the Oslo Second Agreement in 1995. In these years, Yasser Arafat falsely promised a reduction of terrorism against Israel, recognized Israel as a legitimate state, and strove for Palestinian rule in the previously Jewish West Bank and Gaza. The Oslo Second Agreements more clearly defined what would happen with the transfer of land, trade, security, and government between Israel and Palestine. A virtual peace treaty called the Geneva Accord was signed October 12, 2003 to make a peaceful, non-militarized area in the West Bank and Gaza where Palestinians could live. Part of the accord put an international security force in charge of protecting the Temple Mount, a sacred place to both Jews and Muslims. Palestinians. The 1980s were marked with increasing violence within the Palestinian liberation movement as Yasser Arafat pushed for more land and self-rule for the Palestinians in Israel. This violent unrest was called Intifada, or uprising. As the Palestinians gained control of the Gaza Strip and West Bank, the Palestinian Authority moved in to govern the occupied area. The death of Yasser Arafat on November 11, 2004 brought in a more moderate Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas. he renounced the use of terrorism against Israel and began negotiating a ceasefire. The negotiation resulted in Israel leaving the Gaza Strip. This came at a high price to move Israeli families, as nearly 30 of their settlements in the Palestinian-claimed area were forcibly dismantled and the people relocated. After 38 years of occupation, the Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip was completed in September of 2005. The Palestinian Authority was given control in Israel's place. Afterward, Egypt, with financial and technological help from the U.S. Corps of Engineers, began construction of a border fence to slow the flow of weapons into the Gaza Strip. The push to have Israel give more concessions to the Palestinians continued in 2008, when U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice met with the Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak and the Palestinian Prime Minister Salam Fayyad in Jerusalem. This long appeasement process forced Israel to give up more of its land and the ability to protect itself from the many Arab nations around them, Israel and Iran. Iran's goal has been to completely do away with Israel and its supporters. President Ahmadinejad expressed his desire to soon experience a world without the United States and Zionism. Iran has a key position as the Islamic region's main spiritual and financial supporter of terrorism. Islamic militants see themselves in a holy war or jihad against all other non-believers. Iran's nuclear capability jeopardizes the peace and safety of many nations. In light of the imminent Islamic threat surrounding Israel, the Israeli National Emergency Agency was founded in the fall of 2007 to coordinate the work of all military and civilian bodies. In 2008, Israel implemented national home front drills, training citizens how to respond in the event of a massive Islamic attack. Israeli colonial Ziv Levy commented, "We cannot lose a single war. The first war we lose, Israel will cease to exist." In light of these events, Christians should follow the command in Psalms 122:6 to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Now let's look at changes in Africa. In the 20th and early 21st centuries, Africa was characterized by tensions caused when colonial countries cobbled vastly different ethnic groups together. Many of these ethnic groups spoke entirely different languages, had different religious beliefs, and had never really gotten along before. So you cram a bunch of them all together, you think they're going to get along? No, not really. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is an excellent example of this problem, having over 200 territorial groups who speak 75 different languages. Following World War II, many of the Europeans began to withdraw, leaving unstable governments in the hands of ill-trained or unprepared nationals. This instability allowed various forms of communism and socialism, along with Islam, to make great strides in infiltrating the continent. Pan-Africanism, the idea of continental unity rising above national boundaries, was also popularized at this time by men such as Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya. Conflicts created by this, of course, much bloodshed in Angola and Mozambique, Namibia, Algeria, Sudan, and Somalia. Rwanda and Zambia, all of these places had hundreds of thousands of people die. Somalia is now a country with practically no government, overrun with pirates. South Africa also, which was held by Great Britain, eventually is given back to these African countries. I'm not going to read through all of these changes in Africa. Make sure you read this section on page 416 and 417. I'm going to pick back up at New European Nations. Following World War II, the country of Yugoslavia was formed from 6 vastly different republics and 2 provinces. It was composed of 6 major groups. From the end of World War II until his death in 1980, Joseph Tito ruled this country, but when he dies, they break Yugoslavia into many countries. They have Slavs, Croatia, Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Kosovo. So they break this country up into 6 different groups. But even after this, though, there are killings. So make sure you read on page 418 about the turmoil in Bosnia and Kosovo. Political changes in Central and South America. You have Hugo Chavez in Venezuela comes to power. Cruel military dictator. And of course in Cuba, Fidel Castro has his brother Raul as the head of the government, but in reality Raul is really not the head, it's still Castro. And that pretty much concludes this section. So make sure you still read the pages about Africa, Kosovo, and about Cuba some more, because I'm just kind of briefly touching over these things. I hit the points I wanted to about the Islamic countries mainly, but make sure you hit these also. They're going to come up later on quizzes and tests. You have your section 26.2 review, evens only, so 2, 4, 6, 8. And that'll conclude it for this section, guys. Depending on if we come back physically to school on May 4th, we'll be picking up on 26.3 and then we have 26.4. And guys, after those two sections, we'll be done with this book. So if I see you in class, that's great. If not, just know that you are this close to being done with your history class. And hope you guys are not enjoying, being away from school, because I miss you guys something fierce. But please make sure you're reading this section so that I don't get to finish. And hope you guys are doing well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a good weekend.